Welcome to the Gibberpish podcast.
Well, we might be a right bunch of cunts, but we're here to talk gibberpish, aren't we, Dom?
Yep, we're here to talk Gibberpish for as long as my internet holds it.
And just because it's been a while, we thought we'd actually sit back and take a look at something we both watched while we were taking a break from recording podcasts, and that was the Boys season 3. I don't think we've talked much about it. We did do an episode about season 2 when that came out, but yeah, it's been kind of all quiet for a long while, and then we got it all saved up, and we were delivered a fucking glorious season of television, the likes of which we will not see again until season 4 shows up, I assume.
Yeah. And there's a lot of talk about this being the final season and stuff like that, but there's still more shit to come from the comics. So I don't think the comics have finished, or I think the comics might have come back. So there's still plenty of shit for them to cover.
Although, actually, in talking about this show with a few friends of mine at work who have been reading the comics, we are like so far deviated from the comic book storyline, you can't really use that as a measuring stick. But roughly estimated, what we have touched on story-wise, I'd say season 4 might be the finale. And based on what I know of like the final end game of the books, I'd say you can get another season out of it. Based on where we are currently.
Yeah, I'd say so. I don't think after season 3, not that it was, rude or shocking or anything like that, but when you take big swings like that, I think season 4 needs to wrap it up. Not to stop it trying, top itself or anything like that, just because what else can you do with something like that?
Yeah. The marker that I'm using as like what the end game of the books was versus where the show is now, Homelander or certain characters of helping Homelander have set things in motion that lead to what I think of as the end of the comic books. Especially in the last episode with a certain character visiting the home of a certain member of government. I think that is a setup for what happens. Maybe in this universe, because there's supposed to be deviations between comic book and the TV show, but I think that what we're seeing here now is the start of the end game for the Boys. And we just first of all, if you haven't seen the show, go do that. We are going to spoil the Boys all 8 episodes with little regard, obviously, the entire season 1 and 2 as well. Should be considered spoiler territory from here on out. I'd highly recommend the show. I fucking love it. How about you, Dom?
Yeah, as someone who likes comic books, it's no surprise if you're listening to this podcast, but if you don't, it's no surprise that I really, really fucking love comics. And The Boys was kind of unique in the sense that it showed up at the right time for me, because, like most of us, I went and saw all the MCU films, and then when it finished with Endgame, I was kind of, you know what, I'm kind of a bit burnt out on superheroes. And then I think it was my oldest brother, who's telling me, have you watched this on Amazon? Give it a go. And it kind of kicked that in the ass, because it's a superhero show in the sense that there's superheroes in it. There's no good guys fighting bad guys. It's quite literally just a bunch of cunts fighting each other.
Yeah. There are superpowered characters. Superheroes are a far stretch, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say as well, right now, having ranted and raved about the show for the last 2 or 3 years and banging on about how great it is, it's so much fun to see people go, I'll give it a go now. Both of my brothers have just started the show and are like, this is really good. I'm like, yes. If only someone had been telling you for the past 2 years.
Yeah. It's the same with my older brother. I watched season 1, and it was one of those just kind of, it's another Amazon Prime show. And I think at that stage, he was watching another show on Amazon called The Tick, which is another really, really good superhero style show, but they cut that short. Cancelled it unfairly, so I think that might have influenced why I didn't watch it. But it was a case of, I watched season 1, then when I started watching season 2, he started watching episodes with me, and it was like, okay, I can get into this.
Yeah.
And it's like you said, I think the fact that there's superheroes in it brings in one crowd, but the fact that there's also these, pretty damn good characters in it,
yeah,
I think that brings in a whole other side of people.
I'd say like the best viewers for the show are people who are just a little bit burned out on goody two shoes, upright standing citizen characters that will do no wrong. This is where you come to relax with a couple beers and laugh as people get blown to fucking pieces.
Yeah,
and I'd say, every time a season of this show finishes, I'm like, there's no way they'll let them make another season. Like, there's no way the money people at Amazon are like, you know what? Let's roll those dice again. Let's see if we can slip this one past the censors.
Yeah, and the fucking amazing thing about season 3 is on episode 4 or 3 or 4 of season 3, they were like, "Yeah, you're getting a season 4." So it's clear that Amazon have realised that this makes money. People love it. They're going to let it continue, and like what they did with Preacher, letting it continue to a logical conclusion is probably better than just saying, "Well, you tried, you're not getting any more."
Yeah, and I appreciate that. I mean, I suppose having the world's largest company behind you, or one of the world's largest companies behind the funding of all this, makes it a little easier.
Yeah,
You got that Bezos money flying around, you might as well make a couple seasons, get your money's worth.
yeah. It's actually scary that a company that Jeff Bezos owns is making a TV show like The Boys because he has enough money to put something like this into action.
Like,
There
I
was
keep
also a
waiting
tweet
to
that I
find
seen
out.
run about the time that The Boys season 3 started. It was talking about or someone saying, is it any wonder that a company owned by a bald trillionaire is making 2 separate TV shows about a dickhead Superman?
And at that point, was he not also scary jacked? Like,
Yeah, he got yoked for no reason.
Bezos was huge for like 6 months. No one knew why, and he starts going, getting interested in these superheroes. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Hey, buddy, slow down there. Let's calm things down.
I mean, it would make too much. It would make too much sense. Like he's what's his space company?
SpaceX.
SpaceX, right? He's sending people to the moon. He has the money.
No, that's
to
Elon
do all
Musk's
this.
one.
Yeah, that's Elon Musk. Well, I think Jeff Bezos was, paying to take people to the moon or some shit like that, or he was booked on one of the first commercial flights. If he started going up there more frequently and just, happens to build some kind of biodomes where he can do his research unimpeded by the laws of Earth, what could become a reality? And he would have enough money to, make his own Avengers, make his own fucking Justice League.
Then have them fight and ruin Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Oh, Bezos' space company, by the way, is Blue Origin.
Blue Origin.
Yes. Brought to you by horrific human rights violations.
The dude is 2 steps away from becoming a supervillain.
Right, let's get into the season, and starting with episode 1. We begin episode 1 with red carpet footage and film footage of Dawn of the Seven, the Justice League parody. Now, filming for this was cut short in season 2 by the outing of Stormfront as a Nazi, which leads to Stormfront being recast by Charlize Theron.
Yeah, I thought that was absolutely fucking genius.
of all the people, you're like, huh, she could get away with that. Yeah, if she was going to be a Nazi character.
Yeah.
One of the
no
few
one would be pissed off about it.
Yeah. I mean, just the whole Snyder Cut, like the gags about the Snyder Cut from the red carpet scenes, and then like the actual references from the Dawn of the Seven footage are fan-fucking-tastic.
Yeah.
One of the key things about the boys that they always do right is that they know their source material, or like not only the comic books, but like stuff they're taking the piss out of as well.
Yeah, they know what superhero shit is going on right now, and I'm surprised they've not taken more pot shots at Marvel. There probably are some in there that went over my head, but yeah, the first episode takes some heavy swings at the Snyder Cut.
And apparently, by the way, there was a roundtable cut, or like a roundtable discussion of the episode after it came out. Snyder knows about all this, by the way. He's up for it. He thinks it's funny as hell. Which I'm
probably.
just absolutely... I'm so happy about that. Apparently, there's connections between producers of The Boys and then producers of, like, Snyder's films. So there's, like, a bit of conversation back and forth. And he was like, yeah, both thumbs up, go for it. It's funny as hell. He watches the show and loves it, apparently. Like, okay, that makes me really happy.
Yeah, it's probably a good thing, because you don't want... I guarantee if they say... Took a stab at Marvel, if they ever do... there's a character in the comics called Tech Knight. If he ever shows up, I think he's been hinted at a couple times in the series. If he ever shows up, I guarantee Marvel are going to threaten legal action, because he's basically just a piss take of Iron Man with a bit of Batman in there as well.
I think I saw some like Wikipedia articles or something like that for The Boys saying that the Tech Knight character has been used up, but it was renamed probably to avoid that issue.
Yeah.
But yeah, there also everything down to like the color correction for the Snyder Cut, because obviously Snyder has that very kind of desaturated, slightly kind of sepia style of all his shooting for stuff.
the greyed out look.
Yeah, and seeing that in the boys when you compare it to their normal costumes is really fun. Although, fun fact, I was watching this on my laptop, and it switched halfway through because we're watching it at night. It switched from the normal view to the eye care view that I have set up for Windows. So at 9 o'clock, it switches over to a slightly like yellow hued thing, so I can occasionally see the entire show of the boys with the Snyder special effects.
You get a Snyder filter.
I get the Snyder filter. It's actually quite handy. But
See, I think I've got something like that on my PC as well, but it just turns blue because I had the same thing with yet another Amazon Prime property, Legend of Vox Machina.
All right, yeah.
I'm sitting watching the end fight of second episode with Grog against Brimscythe, and all of a sudden he just started looking bright blue. The fuck is this? Then I realised I had my nighttime settings on.
I also just at one point I noticed that like during the showing of the Dawn of the Seven, we pulled out to see like Homelander watching the show, watching himself in the movie. Just angry Homelander, just not really giving a shit. Because I was like, at this point, Homelander is a bit of a wreck after the outing of Stormfront, his ex-fuck buddy as a Nazi, and it just tanking his career as a professional superhero.
Yeah.
After the initial kind of movie scenes, we go to the after party of Dawn of the Seven. And Dom, do you have any notes on that scene at all? Anything for Termite?
Oh Jesus! I had to look away. I had to turn it off at one point when they jumped into the giant dick hole. I was like, nope, this is just too much. And actually, looking back at it, I think that probably wasn't even the worst death that happened this season, or the worst part of the season. But the behind the scenes footage for that on episode 1, they built 30-foot tall dick hole out on a set on a soundstage wherever Amazon make their shows.
See, knowing that it's 30 feet tall,
effects people.
Knowing that it's 30 or 20 feet tall makes me wonder who had to do the math.
Who's sitting there measuring?
Just sitting there with
standard.
Couple bits of paper, pens and pencils out. No. If he's going to shrink into this size, it means that he has to be at least this size, which means that the hole has to be this size. I also had to stop it.
Hats off to the poor intern that had to make those measurements.
I also had to stop it because I was laughing too hard. I was fucking crying. So it was so far gone. There's a point where like you go too far with a joke, and I'm like immediately this is funnier than it ever should have been. I was crying with the goddamn Termite scene, and yeah, it's like it hits a certain reaction because it does involve the dick. Every guy watching that just went, "Oh,
yeah." Just the kind of the cross legs, just no, can't deal with this.
Not the PB hole.
Yeah.
Oh, I say, this is this is another one of the boys' underground operations gone horribly wrong. We find out that while Huey is up doing the kind of corporate anti-hero work, the boys are back doing what they do best, which is just kind of basically CIA bag work, where they just grab heroes that are acting up and then throw them back of a van, and they're never heard from again. We then have Homelander kind of... I noticed that Homelander, like, doing his routine of going from, like, normal, calm, mild sociopathy to just being a complete bitch to other characters is just the best.
Yeah.
He has just this, like, level of control over himself where he's obviously trained himself to realize, hey, you're too powerful. If you decide to really go for it, you can kill anyone in any room. So you need to behave yourself to a certain level. But these little bits come out where he just takes little digs at people just to make himself feel better or to let out a little bit of steam.
Yeah. I don't know if it's in episode 1 or episode 2, but he has a A-train. Yeah. Him and the Deep start kicking the shit out of each other, and then he goes and breaks it up. He helps Deep up off the ground, and he just looks at A-train and says, get up off those useless fucking legs.
It was, for me, it was in the scene, he sees that A-train is eating some like frothy cappuccino, like Starbucks crap. And he's just like, oh, hey, you got the extra whipped cream on that? The extra caramel for that? You fat fuck.
Homelander, for lack of a better phrase, just doesn't give a fuck this season. Some of the shit that he says to the other cast is just again, stuff that you would never get away with in any other TV show. I mean, my personal favourite was, has your brain been fucked by stupid?
And for the
It
record,
says to Ashley, the CEO, who, I'm just going to say it, is one of the worst characters in the show. That's saying something.
are we saying like a bad character as in she's a bad character, or like the actress is bad, or what we're going for here?
No. Excellently acted.
Yeah.
But she's a piece of shit character.
Okay, that's where I was well, because I'm like, Ashley's. I hate seeing her, but seeing her on screen, you're like, okay, you're good. You're really, really good.
Oh yeah. No one in the series puts in a bad performance.
Yeah.
Everyone's just properly swinging for the fences, but Ashley's a piece of shit.
In the same way that Homelander has a complete disturbing control over himself, that it's just spawned from self-awareness, Ashley can't help herself. She's so full of nervous survival energy. She's just a trauma victim, just walking around, just trying to survive to the next day, so she can maybe make a bit more money. And I wonder what her line is going to be at a certain point, because I feel like at some point, she either has to die or leave. And I think she'll die before she runs away and says, no, I can't deal with this anymore.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be Homelander or anybody killing her. I think she's going to have a heart attack. Like, she's just going to die and some kind of stress-induced heart attack. And then Homelander's probably going to get an excellent line just going, the fuck did you do that for? He's going to have some absolute shithead line like that.
So, speaking of unnatural levels of control, Stan Edgar is back. Portrayed by Giancarlo Esposito.
It's always a pleasure to see Giancarlo in anything, but in this, he's always been portrayed as kind of the puppet master, for lack of a better word. He's always in the background pulling strings, and even when you don't physically see him, you know his influence can be felt somewhere, and he does that expertly throughout the seasons that you can actually see him in, or the episodes this season that you can see him in.
Yeah. He is kind of missing for most of this season. I think he leaves at like episode 4. And in World, it makes sense why he's not there. But at the same time, like, could we just have whole seasons of him just monologuing? That'd be great.
Yeah.
I want to see his boardroom activities, you know?
Yeah. He's not there, but you can tell that he's still manipulating strings somewhere.
Yeah. And
as we'll talk about in later episodes, specifically the finale, he's definitely manipulating something. He's back there.
Yeah. The big scene for this one is him and Homelander and Starlight having a sit down to discuss Starlight becoming a co-captain, and he's clearly doing it just to fuck with Homelander.
Yeah.
There is like a
kind of bring him to heel almost.
Yeah, and you can see like his explanation of it is really good. Like, hey, you're on the downturn because of things that you were associated with. Here is a perfect and pure person we can use to boost your ratings, but also help the company. So do what I tell you to. I fucking pay you and own you, people.
Yes.
Get fucked. But there's a scene with Jim Beaver, like Robert Singer, the political candidate, is just so much fun because Supernatural fan, and you just love the scenes where two people are just they dispense with the nonsense of like, okay, this is the public side of the discussions that we have, and this is the private. This is how we make money. You know, when they're discussing the Temp V and how much they get. Like, hey, this is a chemical we developed, gives you temporary super soldiers. It's a temporary thing, so you need to keep buying more stock. You need to buy, I don't know, to have a battalion, let's say 30,000 doses a month. Annual cost to the US government, a couple trillion, you know.
Yeah.
What? I mean, or you could not have super soldiers. Up to you.
Die like regular people.
And also we start to realize that Queen Maeve is now maybe not helping the boys as much, but she is starting to associate with them more as she realizes she needs to get away from Homelander.
Yeah, it's not a case that she wants to help them. She just doesn't like Homelander enough to want to stick with him, so she's jumping over to help the boys.
Yeah,
so that she can get what she wants.
But for the entire time that her and Billy are on Billy Butcher are on like the set together, just flipping each other off.
Yeah,
they do not like each other at all. It's kind of fucking funny. Also, we find out that the 9/11 footage that they have, or I am associating it with 9/11, the airplane footage, is like a key part of holding Homelander hostage. That's where Homelander and Queen Maeve went to try and save a plane during a terrorist attack, only to find out that they'd fucked it completely and resulted in crashing and killing everyone on board, including children who they were asked to take out to save, but they didn't save the children or anyone, because if anyone survived, everyone would find it they'd left everyone else to die. We also find out that the Deep is kind of responsible for this because he helped retrieve the phone from the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah.
Oh, and
it's also pretty cool to find out that Homelander knows all of this and is aware of it throughout most of the series and just lets it happen because it's not going to hurt him.
Yeah, like I can kill every one of you with a thought. Oh no, you have video footage of me. I will murder everyone. Also, we found out that Stormfront survived the finale of Season 2 and is still offering encouragement to Homelander.
Yeah, but too much encouragement. I did not need to see that come. That scene that you're alluding to, I didn't need to see that at all.
Yeah, that was a hard no for me.
Yeah.
Just ew. Episode 2. I think I just... First note. Turns out a lot of people have access to the 9/11 footage. There's like 3 or 4 characters, and I'm pretty sure one of them is like a VOT CEO that's like, oh, this can't get out, we're fucked. We find out that Homelander is basically plotting to grind Starlight down into just, like, as a co-captain, he's going to just take every opportunity to abuse her and just try and get her to quit, in a way. And because he knows the ins and outs of VOT's PR system, because, he's the puppet that Stan Edgar made, he actually knows a lot about how to basically fucking ruin Starlight's career or make her so miserable she walks out herself. And I find that really interesting, because here we have Superman, who's also kind of a PR genius. We also have... Oh, sorry, when you go.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. He knows how to manipulate the system. And taking someone... I think it was more the... See, I didn't really see that he was just going to try and grind her down as if to get her out of the way. It's just I'm going to make you fall to my level and see that this whole goody two-shoes act of yours is complete bullshit.
That's possible, yeah. I just assumed that when he was being a dick, it's like, okay, what's my end goal here? Get her to quit. Rather than... I mean, the exposing, I don't think Homelander can think that way. I think he's just like, I'm going to bully you until you kill yourself. That's my interpretation of Homelander, rather than, I will drag you down to my level. I don't think Homelander has that type of moral intelligence, I guess.
Yeah, I suppose that's probably a better way to look at it. Because his goal is just, I want to be the leader of everything. I want VOT to be at my heel. I want the 7 to be at my beck and call. And I can't do that if you're in here trying to screw me over. So I'm just going to... I can't kill you because then, makes me look bad for killing the most loved superhero in America. So I'm just going to grind you down.
Yeah. We have scenes where Butcher goes to confront Soldier Boy's accomplice, Gunpowder. Now, I think we actually talked about this for episode 1, but they find out that there is a weapon associated with a former superhero by the name of Soldier Boy, who is at one point just assumed to be captured by the Russians or lost forever. He may have died, we don't really know. It's all part of a weird CIA operation. But Butcher believes that this weapon is the key to defeating Homelander, so that's the kind of his goal for the season, is acquire the weapon, point it at Homelander, make Homelander go bye-bye. So he starts hunting down people who knew Soldier Boy and people who might know anything about this weapon. He hunts down a guy called Gunpowder, who is the best NRA spokesperson I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah.
We see that... I
always find it funny when they make superheroes whose superpowers, they're really good with guns. You've got super strength and stuff, but yeah, you can shoot a pistol like no one else.
Well, actually, I find the scene where they show off his ability to do trick shots really cool, because he basically bounces bullets off of like 4 or 5 surfaces, which, if you think about the trajectory of all the surfaces he shoots it off of, having the ability to know that and work it out in your head is actually kind of a superpower. But the superpower is unfortunately math.
Yeah. It's like Cyclops from X-Men. One of his superpowers is he can use I-beams, but he can also figure angles perfectly. Yeah, he's good at maths and he has I-beams.
So A-Train is also trying to make a comeback. He's trying to basically tap into his black heritage, realizing that, there's not really a lot of African-American representation as part of the 7. He says he's going to be the voice of Black America on the 7 and kind of help lead the way for social causes, which, based on when this must have been written and filmed, is obviously a kind of guess, reaction to the death of George Floyd and the rise of the BLM movement, to the point where actually later in the show, people are chanting Black Lives Matter, which I found was interesting. I really there's a lot of stuff going on with his character where he is like trying to Africanize himself rather than just be a kind of corporate sellout. But everything he does is just seen as corporate sellout, black activism, which is like, very interesting. Oh, we find out that Vought is going to try and lean into this just a little bit because Ashley thinks that they can try and make a bit of money off this. However, their plan to do it is one of the most fucked up things I've seen in the show, and it's the reveal of a video game by Vought, which is interesting that Vought owns like the PlayStation 5 in this world.
Yeah.
But they reveal a video game about the Middle Passage, which is the shipping of African slaves to America. And the idea that would somehow make a video game kind of like based on Assassin's Creed, but that would somehow be a selling point, is it's based on the African experience traveling to America as a slave, is like so deeply fucked. The idea that would come from like corporate America and be like, no, this is good, this is what people want. But oh man, I could see that happening. That's the worst part of all this. I can see it fucking happening.
Yeah.
We also get a trip to Vaughtland, or one of the old Soldier Boy exhibitions in Vaughtland, which kind of seems very, very based on the Captain America tributes or the Bucky Barnes memorial from the early Captain America films.
Yeah, I actually thought that was pretty cool, if a bit fucked up. Because, obviously America thinks that Soldier Boy is, literally Captain America, but when you find out what you know about him, it's just kind of, I wouldn't really want that kicking around.
I think
it's a bit like having a shrine to Harvey Weinstein. It's just you might want to get rid of that.
But that's what I like about the show is that especially Soldier Boy, and it's a note I've got later on, is that when you see his character as portrayed in films and in TV shows and in like public appearances, it's that whole public face versus the horrible truth reality of like big personalities, TV stars, and all that. That behind closed doors, they're a completely different person. You don't really know these people. And it turns out to be that, Soldier Boy is a horrific fucking person. But at the same time, you get shrines to these people because they're popular, they're famous, they're important in some way. Very interesting. And, we find out that one of his teammates, Crimson Countess, has been singing a eulogy to Soldier Boy for the last 20 years, 5 days a week.
Yeah. Again, very fucked up when you consider when you find out their backstory. And then she has this dumbass song about chimps not crying.
I was trying to find the name for that for the notice as well, I couldn't remember it. Crimson Countess, by the way, is played by...
it's actually called Chimps Don't Cry.
I think Chimps Don't Cry is probably the right one. But Crimson Countess is played by Laurie Holden from The Walking Dead. And she shows up in various bits and pieces on TV nowadays, and I'm like, I can never remember exactly who she is, so I have to write it down every time I see her, but oh yeah, it's her from Walking Dead. I think I say like there's the Captain America parody, the whole thing, and then Crimson Countess, just a wee bit kind of messed up with her scenes later on. But the main thing I got from this is this whole thing of there's the masks or the people walking around in these like suits at the Soldier Boy Memorial that have got like the big, it's like a big mascot head that they've got on, and at one point Crimson Countess is fleeing from the boys members that are like running away or that are trying to chase her down, and we find out her superpower is to basically just turn them into piles of meat. I don't think
she throws fireballs essentially.
Fireballs that somehow just turn you into like value pack things of meat just all over the floor. And there's like a weird shot of like a victim, like one of the people in the park, like it gets hit, and then like the head of the mascot outfit lands, and then the real head rolls out.
Yeah.
Oh. But it's just one of those jokes that you're like, okay, that was funny, but fucked up at the same time.
Yeah. I think I could describe the entire season like that was funny, but I feel bad for laughing at it.
Like, shouldn't have made me laugh at that. You dirty bastards. This is. I think they're doing at this point. I was like, okay, they're doing a really good job of teasing Soldier Boy. They're just building him more and more into the show, or showing that he's been a part of the world we just haven't seen yet. And I think that we're doing one. There's a note I forgot from like Mother's Milk. who has been kind of absent because the season 3 is set a year after season 2, and he was trying to just get out of the boys' kind of sphere of influence, particularly like Billy. I think Butcher and Miller's Book have like the worst relationship possible, where it's just like, we need to work together, but we kind of really should fucking hate each other.
Yeah. You kind of get the sense that if they continue doing what they're doing, one of them is going to end up killing the other, and it's going to be biblical.
Yeah. During all this, we found out that Stormfront is actually done being alive. She bit off her own tongue, I think it was.
I think so, yeah.
And Homelander finds this out on television. Like I think they're doing press coverage for the fact that Starlight's being named co-captain. And we've just...
Is it not they do? Homelander has this big kind of birthday fucking special.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're doing the rehearsal lines for that.
Properly cheesy Super Sweet 16 bullshit thing, or episodes that they have in MTV, or used to have on MTV.
I thought it was kind of like it was like really patriotic. It was kind of set up to look like kind of like the roast of Homelander, but at the same time he would never allow that to happen. So it's just this big pageant show of like everybody coming in and like suck his dick a little bit.
Yeah, it was basically just kind of, I'm going to be, instead of roasting me, I'm just going to have everyone here, tell me how great I am.
Oh, and
then they catch up after letting the mask drop and just going on this fairly fucking epic tirade saying that, he is the world's savior, and Vought's executives just want to fuck you over and make sure that...
Oh, you're talking about Homelander's big speech of like, hey, I'm better than all of you. Like, fuck yourself. I'm done playing to the peasants. I am a fucking god. You will worship the ground I walk on, or you will fuck off. You're like, oh shit. You just had that bottled up inside. Okay, no one is safe. Run. Yeah. Although I did laugh. There was a joke. It was a little like reference in there by Ashley, who refers to Stormfront as $1 million babying herself. You're like, oh my god, that's fucked up. And they're trying to kind of
use... What's $1 million baby?
It's a movie where a woman boxer is like, she's in the ring fighting like the title fight of her life, and then she slips, falls, and smashes her neck into a stool that's just at the side of the ring, and becomes paralyzed from the waist down, and then kills herself. Like, again, biting off the tongue, I think. It's who was it? It's it was not Kirsten Stewart. Fuck, Kirsten Dunst was in that role, which I thought was interesting. Maybe that's... I don't think it's supposed to be a Spider-Man reference. I think it's more of a $1 million baby reference. But just like, oh, Kirsten Dunst, that's her movie. Yeah, it was.
She was Kirsten Dunst.
I want to say so.
But you know what fucking doesn't matter. We're here to talk about the boys, not $1 million baby.
No, I'm here now. We're doing this.
Alright, okay.
I've got Hilary Swank there. I don't think that was her. For fuck's sake. No, it was Hilary Swank, not $1 million. Okay, my bad. We then have another showdown between Butcher and Gunpowder. Only this time, Butcher's taking V24, a temporary superhero drug, and it allows him to beat Gunpowder to death and then laser him in half of his eyes.
Yeah, that was a pretty fucked up scene.
And it's one of those scenes that The Boys does so well, where any other show would stop 5 or 6 hits before The Boys did. The Boys gives every last punch and then says, more violence, Yeah. And the one thing that really kind of like, oh shit, like it was part of the trailer, so we know that Butcher was going to get laser eyes, but there's something so fucked up about the fact that he has the same power as Homelander. Yeah. I
thought I'm moderate. In the comics, all the boys already have superpowers. They take V almost immediately within the first couple of issues, because they don't, in the comics, they don't have Mother's Milk saying, we don't need to be soups, because he is a soup in the comics, so they all take their superpowers. So I always knew that they were going to do something like that and give some of them powers, but
I actually like that they waited that long to actually do them having superpowers, because it obviously gives you the first couple of seasons where everything's kind of low power. You have to problem solve, like killing the invisible guy. Oh, he's technically got like diamond plated skin. How do we defeat that? Shove a bomb up his ass.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's as well, like, with this season being about a division in the boys, having it be the ethical issue of how do we square away being superpowered ourselves if we're hunting down and killing all the superheroes? Or if we're fighting for a world free of superheroes, is it okay for us to use the superpowers to achieve that goal?
Yeah.
It's a good argument for them to have.
Yeah, it's a moral dichotomy that they have, but they've kind of. I don't know if they'll continue using the V and the V24 in the next season. We'll need to wait and see. Or they might just go full blown. Fuck it, let's take regular strength V.
Let's just go for it. We then have episode 3. We have Butcher coming down from V24 in the middle of the Colonel's flashback. The Colonel's explaining one of the last operations she did with the CIA, only to have Butcher interrupt her to throw up in a sink.
Yeah.
And I love that he has to try and explain to Ryan, no, Daddy's, or I'm fine, Daddy's not that hurt. Just don't go in there. It's very like bad parenting. But a major part of the Colonel's flashback is explaining why the ships don't work in the military. They lack discipline. All sizzle, no steak. They don't actually have what it takes to help the military out. They're just a bunch of like pompous superheroes flying around in capes. And I really like that there's a guy who can actually fly. He flies up a little bit, gets bombed at the sky by an RPG. And I like the whole scene of just I guess it's all part of like the wars in like South America that the CIA helped fund. Like the rebel attack on that camp and it just being an absolute fucking disaster. Everyone, like, there's no guarantee anyone gets out this alive. It is just it's a chaotic firefight. I think we actually get to see young Stan Edgar and Black Noir actually takes his mask off, revealing the big deviation from the show between the show and the comic books, which is that in the comic books, Black Noir is a clone of Homelander.
Yeah, I think that was the second Black Noir. I think there was an original Black Noir that is someone completely different.
What I was thinking about this was that it could be possible for them to do the Homelander clone thing, where they actually just bring in another Black Noir, because the only people that know that he's dead are within Vought, and it's Vought upper management. I would not be surprised if Homelander replaces the current Black Noir with a clone of himself, the only person he can trust.
Well, I say that I was reading something, just looking at the episode list, because it's been a while since I watched all of them. They said when they confirmed season 4, and after they finished writing up this season, they were going to bring Black Noir back, and it was going to be the same actor that played him, but there was going to be a replacement for Black Noir.
Huh. Interesting. Okay.
So, this we're guaranteed to see more of Black Noir type character.
There'll be some combination of the phrase Black Noir, clone, and return.
Yeah.
I imagine having, like, I guess it'd be like you could take the piss out of Star Wars. Instead of a jar of Snokes, have a jar of Black Noirs. We get to actually see Soldier Boy in action, and he is savage. He is the Captain America you wouldn't want to see in a dark alleyway. This is, as I say, a Supernatural fan, this is not Dean from Supernatural. This is a completely different character, and Jensen Ackles nails it.
Yeah.
I actually kind of like that 70s, 80s like misogyny that they kind of slip in there, like, hey, maybe if you smell more, you get yourself a man. Like, oh shit. Oh, we're doing that version of the 80s, okay.
Yeah. We're doing that version of Captain America where he lived through all the racist sexism stuff, and he still thinks that's how it's done.
He's a World War II veteran. He has a certain mindset, okay? He's not a nice person. I'm a big fan of, in this episode we start talking about, we started out a character called Supersonic, who is taking part in a reality TV show to be one of the new members of the Seven, after, the boys have killed a lot of them. Then
killed a couple of them.
And we have all these like behind the scenes reality TV kind of like producing, where it's like, okay, it needs to seem real as we make all these decisions in casting and like try and script reality towards the point we want. And it's a lot to do with like who is going to be hired. It's like, okay, do we make a quality character, or do we bring in a quality character we can sell to certain audiences, or do we upplay kind of minority characters to try and counterbalance any claims that we're not ethnically diverse enough. And I'm like, that's very on the nose and a very well observed point. That, you know, if you were trying to do that, if you're trying to make reality TV these days to make someone join a superhero cult, that would be kind of part of the prerequisite. If you're doing good PR, is that someone is going to sit there and say, okay, who's the best person we can get in to get ourselves more votes with minority groups, or to gain more popularity with different minority groups. It's super cynical, and I fucking love it.
Yeah, that was another kind of weird scene. It's not quite as bad as the bit in season 2 where the blind kind of daredevil guy comes up and says, "Oh, so you can't see, you see with your ears. So what happens if then Homelander thunderclaps him?"
Was that? I thought that was season 3 for some reason.
That's season 2.
Oh, fuck.
Because that's after.
It's so fucked up, but I find that really funny. Just him being Homelander just being a complete dick, and then just being like, here's my weird reasoning for being a complete monster. You know, no, please don't do that. We also get another scene afterwards where the Deep is forced to eat a live octopus, which is kind of hard to watch. You know, if you've ever seen mukbang videos of people eating a live octopus, it's fucked up to begin with.
Spoiler alert, it's not the weirdest thing he does to an octopus this season.
Yeah, that's the thing as well. It's like, we know he was turned on by that octopus in particular, and then being forced to eat it, you're like, oh, fuck. But as Dom says, it will get worse.
Yep.
Episode 4, I'd say, is probably one of the good episodes for setting up the remainder of the season. We revealed a link between Stan Edgar and Congresswoman Newman, who's been kind of in and out of different scenes, rallying support for her like superhero control bills that she's been working on in the background. Where like she's like, hey, the boys are a problem, but also the supes are a problem. Also, me being a superhero is a problem. We found out that Stan Edgar's basically been an anonymous benefactor and guardian since childhood, and he's been funding her way through certain political systems so that Vought can actually have political leverage and use her as a pawn in their kind of broader plans to try and get, say, supes into the military or get certain laws passed. She is Stan Edgar's adopted daughter, in a sense, and he uses that to try and leverage her in Congress. But of course, there's a very interesting part where they're like, but legally on no paperwork is Stan Edgar's name mentioned for obvious reasons, so no one draws the line there. But Stan's over having dinner every other week, you know.
And that was one of the weirder scenes for me. Is when you're watching Stan Edgar, who is kind of worse than the superheroes in some way, and the sheer nuts on this guy, because he stares down Homelander several times, like it's fucking Tuesday morning.
Yep.
To see him sitting with his adopted granddaughter, just reading books.
Yeah,
that's chilling. That is
very good scene to humanize a monster. I like it.
Yeah,
very fucked up.
It was really good. Like I said, Giancarlo Esposito can really do nothing wrong, and he just plays villains so goddamn well. And there's talk of, if you play a superhero in anything, there's talk of you joining the MCU. Like, nah, if he used to play another superhero or supervillain, he needs to be Ra's al Ghul in any kind of Batman reboot. But we're not talking about Batman, we're talking about the boys. And I'll try and shoehorn Batman talking every episode, but not this one, goddammit.
Give him a minute, you'll forget it eventually.
Yeah, I'll find a workaround.
You'll wedge that in there somewhere like a batarang. Right. We then get one of my favourite parts of the season, which is the parody of the Pepsi commercial with Kendall Jenner, where A-Train's sodas used to solve a riot.
That was?
Yeah. That was a joke about the Pepsi commercial from a couple years back. And it is so fucking perfect. You really can't help but cringe. It's like,
I thought it was, like, I didn't know what it was. I thought it was just one of those kind of, a piss take of one of those activism adverts. Like, you see a woman on the street, you know, be nice to her, all this. Like, one of those kind of really, really bad adverts that you see in America. You see this person in the street, they've got the vaccine, what's stopping you?
have you seen the Pepsi commercial?
I have not.
You're going to get...
I don't know. Who the fuck's Kendall Jenner, did you say?
Folks, we're taking a quick commercial break so Dom can actually watch a commercial. It is this... honestly, you're going to cringe so fucking hard. I'm sending you this right now. I googled Kendall Jenner Pepsi ad and the A-Train commercial came up. The deleted Pepsi... Oh, no, that's fucking... There you go. They're the worst 40 seconds of your life.
Clearly parodying the hippie putting the flower in the rifle there.
Yep. I got, oh my god.
This entire advert is the plotline to Scrubs. When Elliot acts like a manipulator in front of our interviewer, the janitor gives him a tin of juice, and that resolves the whole thing. I feel dumber for watching that.
It's so bad. And Pepsi put it out there
Why?
like, this is how we're going to sell our product for the next 5 years, folks. Immediately I was like, what the fuck did you just do? This is not the time for your bullshit Pepsi. But the A-Train version of that video is just fantastic. When you see it in person, like, everything about the swagger, the kind of the obvious confrontation of like the people as protesters versus cops. An idea that one person can get in the middle and solve all with a canned beverage is like, oh fucking Christ. It was used in the commercial and or for the trailer for the season 3, and I could not have been happier when I saw the A-Train just holding it as kind of like cola or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's an energy drink or something like that.
Yeah. So yeah, that puts that into context, and now that is the worst part of the show and the best part at the same time. So Starlight, in the meantime, is trying to recruit Supersonic to the anti-Homelander party as she's trying to build up a group of superheroes that can maybe take on Homelander or buy a bit of time for the boys to deploy whatever weapon it is that Billy Butcher's trying to find. Only thing is, Supersonic makes the mistake of seizing an argument between Homelander and A-Train. I think it actually was the joke about him being fat that we mentioned earlier. And Supersonic tries to recruit A-Train to the cause. It will not end well.
Yeah.
Later in the end, we see Supersonic's bloody corpse after Homelander tears him to pieces. And I like they don't actually show you him being like battered to death. They just show you the result of just like Supersonic in bits, basically on a rooftop.
Yeah. They show you the piles of meat that used to be Supersonic.
Yeah, because like Starlight's been the POV for a lot of the VOT scenes. Like she's new to the world of VOT, so things are explained to her, so they can be explained to us. And then having her just show up and see like her dead childhood friend in bits, like, oh shit! Like you don't know what happened. You just know he's dead, and you kind of never want to know what actually happened to make him into that pile of meat.
But knowing Homelander, it's probably not something as pedestrian as I punched him a couple times.
Yeah. It was excessive. It probably took about half an hour, and he was smiling the entire time.
Yeah.
Probably nursing a mild chubby. Speaking of nursing a chubby, Kimiko murders a gang of goons with themed dildos representing each of VOT's members of the 7.
And that was fucking hilarious, right?
Because the boys are off to Russia to try and find out where Soldier Boy might actually be, and in order to do that,
they don't know it. They don't quite know that it's. Do they know that it's Soldier Boy?
They know that. I think they do, because they find out that Soldier Boy was captured by the Russians from the Colonel. And they find out he was captured by the Russians, yeah.
They want to find Soldier Boy because they think that he has the weapon.
Or he's a star.
Or knows what the weapon is or something like that.
Yeah. So they use Frenchie's former contact. I can't remember what her name is. But they use Frenchie's.
Nina.
Yeah. They use her to try and like track, because she's connected to the Russian mafia. So if anyone knows where that might be, she would have some kind of inkling. They decide to go and ask her for help, but she says, I'll give you a hand, but you're going to owe me a favour, and I'm going to call that favour now. I need this Russian oligarch, this Russian billionaire dead. And don't care how you do it, just, get him dead within 24 hours. The answer is to send in Kimiko as an assassin. And she improvises an attack on the oligarch and his crew. And yeah, it's fucking hilarious. Following the Kimiko's assassination work, I guess we'll call it. Yeah, call it that. Yeah. The boys find out the location of Soldier Boy's lab, in which they then break in and unleash both Soldier Boy and a flying hamster that I fully expect to make a comeback. Do not fuck me on this one. It has
a name or something like that. If they give it a name.
If there's not like a the trailer for season 4 doesn't at least feature that hamster, I'm going to be pissed. Butcher then reveals during the break-in, Butcher reveals he's been using Compound V, the kind of V24, with the greatest entrance of all time, where he shows up while being strafed by AK-47 fire, says, "Evening cunts," and then lasers a bunch of people in half of his eyes.
Yeah.
Huey also reveals he's been using V24 and does what saves mother's milk, and he turns out he can teleport somehow. And obviously we realise we have no idea how people generate their powers or whatever reacts to them, but I think it's just, somebody said it was like based on genetics at some point in the show, I can't remember, but yeah, randomly, like, it unlocks your potential in your DNA.
Yeah.
I actually thought initially he had super speed. It turns out he's like, because I saw the ripped cast that he comes out of, I assumed he was kind of like ripping out of it and moving at super speed, but it turns out he's actually teleporting and leaving things behind. I didn't think that was explained until like another 2 episodes later. But throughout this, there's like a firefight in a lab full of Compound V and terrifying hamsters, during which they actually unleash Homelander from his, or not Homelander, they unleash Soldier Boy from his captivity. Only to have Soldier Boy go nuclear and almost kill Kimiko by blasting her through a fucking solid concrete wall. Soldier Boy then just kind of stomps off into the distance, and the boys are left to kind of retreat back to America with a very bloody Kimiko, who turns out cannot heal herself anymore. Given that she survived gunshots to the head, this is terrifying. But it does give you the distinct impression that the secret weapon that they've been looking for is actually Soldier Boy and not a gun of some kind. And yeah, I really like this episode. I like the fact they go to another part of the world and reveal that, you know, the boys or the Vought have an impact elsewhere. And I was a big fan of the like Russian graffiti that they have, where they show Homelander as a tyrant and a just oppressive force overseas. It reminds me a lot of promo art you saw for like season 1, where it was graffiti of characters firing laser beams and stuff like that, but done in a very kind of like spray paint style. I was a big fan of the style of that one.
Yeah, and I like that outside of America, these guys really are not heroes. They're as dick-headed as the guy. See them, and they're kind of seen as tyrants all over the place. And I suppose even in season 1, you saw that when Homelander lands in Iraq and tells the soldiers to stand down, that he's got all this shit.
But you're the real heroes.
Yeah, you guys are the real heroes. Take a drink every time he says that, you'll be pissed within 1 episode.
But speaking of Homelander, now that we're back in America, it turns out Stan Edgar has been ousted as CEO of Vought after it turns out, you know, Homelander has turned state's evidence against the Vought Corporation, showing that Stan Edgar has done some pretty horrific shit, which, you know, he has. But it turns out that Homelander is going to be named as the interim CEO, or the current like head of the company, and he's trying to talk shit to Stan Edgar. And as Dom mentioned, you know, Stan doesn't take that shit lying down. He's Stan the man for a reason.
Yeah.
And yeah, he does not take shit from Homelander in any sense. So yeah, there's a great scene of dialogue between Anthony Starr just trying to be like the kind of preening little shit that he is, and then Stan Edgar being like, "I'm going to bury you under this fucking building and no one will find your corpse."
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh shit, okay. It's got so much toxic just kind of like two people who've hated each other for so long finally getting to tell each other, "I fucking hate your guts."
Yeah.
So good.
There was also a bit that kind of like that in I think it might be in episode 1, where Butcher and Homelander start talking. Or is that, have I maybe jumped the gun a wee bit?
No, I think you're right. I think it's an early part of season 3 is that there's a dialogue between Butcher and Homelander.
Yeah, and they just say, "You know what, let's be men about this. We will meet and we will fucking tear each other apart.
Yeah.
But it has to be us."
Yeah. We can't have any kind of interference out. You'll fight me mano a mano. It's like, well, you're not really a man, are you? You're kind of cheating, you little shit.
Yeah, you've got superpowers. I just have a lot of guns and anger issues.
Episode 5. In the biggest, the best joke of the season, the Deep takes over Vaught's intelligence team, and
yeah, I thought that was fucking brilliant. Give it the one guy who barely knows how to read a book. Put him in charge of the entire Vaught's criminal analyst team.
Yeah, these are the guys
crime analyst team.
Yeah, these are the guys trying to triangulate CCTV footage and calls to the cops and try and get superheroes to the scene faster than the cops so they can steal the limelight from, you know, actual cops.
Yeah.
He then begins, after one of the most embarrassing speeches I guess anyone's ever had to give, is that, hey guys, I know I've been a part of this team for a decade and spearheaded so many initiatives that I'm basically considered the leader of the team, but corporate has decided to go with another option. Welcome the Deep. And just her being like absolutely ousted and just being told, yeah, you can just go sling your hook elsewhere, you're fired, fuck off. And I have it be the Deep as well. Like, Deep's taking over your job as a crime analysis genius. It's just
like
so...
that within a day, he fires the entire staff, and it's just him running the entire thing.
It's him and like 3 people, because his plan as part of his corporate restructuring is that he's going to basically just, if you've ever said a mean thing about Homelander or Vought on social media, you're gone. There are like 3 people left. It is a very funny joke, and I like that he shows up with cupcakes to deliver all this bad news. He's like, we're gonna have some changes around here, but I brought baked goods. By the way, one thing that's been going on in the background is the Deep's wife, Cassandra, shows up from time to time as like this kind of... She's actually sorting his career and his life out for him. I actually really like her. I think she's a very funny character, and it's very kind of... The way it all plays out over the course of the season, it is a great arc for her as being this kind of like... She was picked by the weird kind of cultish group. Can't remember what the exact name of the church is, but she was picked out by a church to be like kind of his rehab wife. And she's been in charge of him the entire time. And it's just been a fantastic kind of mini arc for the Deep and her. Because the Deep has always been a fuck up, and you realise he's not smart enough to do it all on his own. So having this, like, the powerful woman behind the idiot man is just really fucking funny. Although she gets a pretty raw deal towards the end of the season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's going to be a big plot point in 4. I think we're going to see Fat the Deep next season.
The Deep belly button.
Yeah.
We have A-Train clashing with a local law enforcement hero called Boyhawk, who has been violently detaining people in predominantly black neighborhoods. This is where we mentioned there's a lot of stuff about BLM in this season, and this is where this kind of comes in. Boyhawk is very obviously a vigilante hero, or he's taking things a little bit too far in the name of, just keeping the streets clean. Eventually they agree to kind of meet the community and have a sit-down chat, and with Ashley there as doing this kind of vague kind of bullshit, like, can I just get this out of my meeting? Like, I don't really need to be here. Can we speed things up here, Can you guys deal with ethnic racial hate?
I have other things to do.
Can you guys deal with this whole racial hate thing a little bit elsewhere? I have like a meeting at 12. We speed things up, that'd be great. Bluehawk actually goes out to the kind of one of the communities he's been working in and reads this really half-assed statement and gets into an argument with the local Black Lives Matter activists. Where he ends up fighting community members and ends up fighting A-Train's cousin, or A-Train's brother Nathan, and throwing him halfway across the hallway because Bluehawk is a superhero, Nathan is not. And Nathan is then crippled from, I think he lands on his neck, or like his neck lands on a chair or something like that, and he's now crippled from like the waist down.
Yeah, I think the next time you see him in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's waist down.
Yeah,
and the church that you're thinking of is called the Church of the Collective.
Yep, that's the one. The creepy ultra Christian. I've heard some people say it's based on Scientology, based on their ability to kind of reform people's things and the picked wives and stuff like that. But I'm like, okay, it could be either way, I guess. But yeah, Huey and Starlight start discussing how Huey's using Temp V, and he just kind of comes clean and says, "Hey, look, I got this thing. I used it to help out the guys. I had to save mother's milk." But it's just this long argument of kind of like Huey trying to justify himself to Starlight and never really quite making it work. We also have Butcher and Maeve having a kind of scene together in which they actually bang. Okay, weird pair. It's weird though because it's not.
Don't blame him, but it came out of nowhere.
Yeah,
these two.
Because it's not like a sexy scene either. It's not a lot of fun. It's just like a drunken, sad mess. Nobody's walking.
Two angry, drunk people just working something out.
Yeah, like it's nothing to do with either of them or each other. There's not really being much of a chemistry there. Like I say, they like most of the first scene flipping each other off and it's not like a it's not like a hidden lust type of thing. It's just kind of like we're both drunk, we're both here. I got a penis, you got a vagina. Let's fuck something out, I guess.
Yeah.
Soldier Boy is back in the United States and goes nuclear on a block of flats in, I think it's New York City. And the media begins to question.
Or something.
Yeah. Media begins to question whether or not Vought and the Seven can handle a superpowered terrorist. Homelander goes on the news to try and kind of sort things out and calm the public down, and it doesn't go well. Because again, Homelander is like slipping. Like all throughout the season, you get this sense of we are moments away from watching Homelander just nuke everyone the same way that Soldier Boy does.
Yeah, the best way I've heard it is that the cracks start to form, and that you get the shark eye start appearing where it's got that 1,000-yard stare when you can tell that something is about to go down if just the slightest thing goes wrong.
Yeah. The shark eyes is a great way to describe it, by the way. I really like that scene. That phrase. We also get a building tension between Mother's Milk and his ex's new partner, Todd. Now, Todd's an interesting guy.
Todd's a piece of shit.
Because
he's a piece of shit.
He starts off as being this kind of annoying, like, the annoying stepfather. And you're kind of like, okay, you're just kind of a bit of a dick. But, not that bad. And he gradually shifts from that to being like an alt-right asshole. You're like, okay, we're doing this with a character. Interesting. Although it does build to the point where I say, Todd is just a fucking asshole. It builds over the point, like over the course of the season, and it's in little interactions that they have together and how Todd is raising Mother's Milk's kid. But you get to the point where you would actively cheer Mother's Milk throwing Todd down a flight of stairs into a pack of rabid dogs. Fucking hate Todd.
Yeah.
And again, nothing to do with the actor. Actor does a great job being a piece of shit. But fuck that character. This is also the episode where we meet The Legend, who is a big-time Hollywood producer who has made Vought heroes into household names back in the day, and used that as an opportunity to stick his cock in everything that moved. Seriously, this man has a list of things that he has fucked, and half of it are millionaire celebrities. He's kind of like a very fucked up mix of like Stan Lee and Harvey Weinstein. Although one thing I do like about his character is he has most of his scenes are in his home, and he has this like every room he has is covered in all these photos and posters and props from his career. That is like I guarantee you somewhere there is a YouTube video breaking down little bits and pieces and trying to tie it to earlier scenes in the movies. You back with us, Dom?
Yeah, I just got a massive burst of words there. Yeah, I thought meant it was going to cut out there. It's
right.
Probably not far away from it.
I was explaining that this is where we meet The Legend.
Yeah.
A very fucked up combo of Stan Lee and Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah, a very, very fucked up combo. That's actually, I've just heard that it was, the one allegory that I heard was that it was a piss take of one of those fixer guys back in the day. You know, if you wanted something done, this guy would do it. But hearing it being described as Stan Lee meets Harvey Weinstein is...
Because I initially saw
it's
that
appropriate.
I saw that they were doing it, and it was saying, "Oh, it's the boys' version of Stan Lee, but that means he's a bad person."
Yeah.
But then every story he has he's in like 2 or 3 episodes this season, and it's always about we did this thing, we made a movie, it was pretty good, it was kind of weird, we had to work with these people that weren't that good at the job. This person's a fucking idiot. But I did stick my cock in this woman called blah. You should go look her up sometime in your fucking phone internet. And it's such a great old Hollywood character that I'm like, that guy is a total fucking scumbag. When is he getting his own spin-off?
Yeah. People get a spin-off of him back in the day.
Back in the day, slinging dick.
Yeah.
And making horrible movies. I do like that at one point they show like some of Soulja Boy's old stuff, and everyone hates it. Soulja Boy hates it. He was embarrassed at the fact it came out, but he's like, well, it got me laid, so who gives a shit? I did it for the pussy, what can I say? There is also, I guess, probably one of my favourite scenes actually for this one is Frenchie and Kimiko are having like a recovery period where like they're in a hospital after the attack with Soulja Boy. And it's just them hanging out watching old movies together. And I'm like, okay, that's very sweet. And they have this weird kiss where it's not quite right. Like it doesn't quite work. Like it happens, and they're both kind of there, and like, oh, that wasn't what we expected. Huh.
Yeah.
And I like that they do that. Like, I don't need another romantic couple, but having like a messy friendship is kind of nice. I'm like, okay, that seems a bit more realistic than everyone who kisses automatically becomes madly in love with each other. But then in the background, you have Huey and Butcher working to try and find Crimson Countess, and that's so that they can use her as a kind of bargaining chip to break the ice with Soldier Boy. So they actually travel back to see Crimson Countess at, I think it's a chimp sanctuary off of like where you have the Vought homeland or whatever it is. But I could have sworn it was a chimp sanctuary for some reason, because obviously she has the Chimps Don't Cry song. But we then found out.
I think she. It was in. She was in the. No, was it? She did live in a chimp sanctuary.
Yeah, because that's where she uses all the money from the Vought thing to go and do that. But then we found out the other way she makes money, which is as a live sex cam worker.
Yeah.
For Seth Rogen. And just, fuck off, Seth Rogen.
I don't mind Seth Rogen, but I didn't need to see that much of Seth Rogen.
I mean, hats off to you for getting your tits out on that one, but still, nah.
Yeah. Did not need to see that.
Yeah. So yeah, Soldier Boy actually does come to find Crimson Countess because the boys worked out he's hunting down members of his former squad. And then there's a bit of confrontation between Starlight and Huey as well, just because, Huey started using V24 again, despite the fact they've agreed he wouldn't do that. And Soldier Boy nukes Crimson Countess. And we realise that he's just...
that is probably the best way to put it, that his powers allow him to nuke shit.
Yeah, that's... Like, he himself is a super soldier in all the kind of Captain America tropes that, he's faster, stronger, more durable. He throws around that shield, he can, crack skulls open without even thinking about it. But he also seems to have this weird kind of laser thing going on in his chest.
Yeah, this kind of unibeam thing.
Yeah. And then that is episode 5. They kind of all both start to kind of part ways. We see that Huey is going with Butcher and then Soldier Boy off to do their mission, where they're going to basically hunt down and fight Homelander at some point. And then Starlight is going to try and work on her mission to try and detain Soldier Boy without getting anyone else into danger, because it seems like Butcher's getting a bit reckless. Which leads us to episode 6, which is Herogasm. Now, I gotta say, Amazon did kind of overmarket this episode. I did see a ton of journal, or I'm gonna put air quotes on journalist here, articles being written by journalists saying, it's the most shocking episode of the season, and we can't, people walked off set being physically sick and not wanting to come out and requesting days off after shooting this episode because it's so controversial. Only for the internet to say, you know what, mate, I've got worse on my hard drive. Gonna say something spicy, spice it up a little for me.
Yeah, it wasn't as horrific as the internet made it out to be, specifically Twitter. Twitter was bombing it up something chronic, saying there was cameramen that had to go and take a couple of sessions of therapy. I was like, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, I mean,
the people that were expecting more expected too much.
Yeah. I mean, I still busted, but
Yeah, I mean,
I'm annoyed. Yeah, it is what it is. There's a lot of stuff in there that's the whole episode itself is actually really good. First thing that they open up with is A-Train back to Africa, where they're having this very deliberate, shitty rough draft of a possible A-Train story about him going back to Africa and discovering his roots. It's the shittiest thing. To the point where there's notes on this, because it's on Amazon. You've got the IMDb database on this. So they've written extra little notes and information about it from the producers. And it's hey, this is deliberately supposed to be shit. You can see the, A-Train isn't keyed out properly. There's a blue haze around his entire outfit.
Yeah.
And his body. And then all the images are stock footage that actually is all watermarked with the Vought Images trademark. And there's a timer running off in the corner. It's a basic VFX or something, like Draft 1 VFX. And it's just it looks so low effort. And it's just Ashley sitting there going, for fuck's sake, you have to make four episodes of this year. Fuck. She's already fed up, and it's just got to the rough draft of a trailer.
Yeah.
We also have Homelander's first scene of talking to himself, trying to big himself up in what is either a great dialogue or monologue, but it's fucking amazing. Honestly, Anthony Starr has been really good this season. All the actors on the show have been great, but this is where we say, okay, like, how hard does he have to work to get a fucking Emmy?
Yeah, if no one in Boys season 3 doesn't get an Emmy, then it's the whole system's fucked. Because the scene alone with Homelander talking to himself in the mirror, that should have got him it alone.
Yeah, that it starts off being, you think, okay, they're going to kind of do the whole thing of like Gollum from Lord of the Rings, and I'd say it's better than that by a long way.
Yeah, without a doubt. The showing Homelander's fall and just letting him I don't want to say have fun with it because it is a mental breakdown, but he does just kind of have fun with it.
Yeah. And
do shit that no one would say to you, yeah, try that. The showrunner Eric Kripke's just going, yeah, fucking try that, who cares? Well, not who cares, it's just, yeah, dude, that fits Homelander perfectly, do that.
Yeah, and the idea that he comes up with, like, that he's, parts of him have analysed him as a whole and said, the one thing that's left that's making you weak is your humanity. You need to get rid of that. Don't worry.
Yeah, this little... yeah, that little party that wants to be loved, get rid of it. Subjugation is better than appreciation, my friend.
You're like, ooh, this is dark. I like it. We then cut to, I guess, really get onto the point of just the orgy scene. You have, obviously, two groups of Mother's Milk and Starlight appearing on one mission. Mother's Milk gets covered like a plaster's radio.
Yep.
Holy fuck.
I was watching that, because I watched it, I think, like myself and my brother usually watch it at the same time, as we do with most shows. I watched it myself on my PC just to kind of, because I've heard, as Colin said, they overmarket the fuck out of it. It's like, if this is going to be as bad as it says, I'm going to listen to it with headphones on and watching it. I was like, okay, this isn't that bad. It's a really good episode. Herogasm, without a doubt, is the best episode of season 3, and a season full of just fucking great episodes. Season 6 is without a doubt the best. So then I watched it with my brother when I got back off of work, and usually we watched it about lunchtime, so we went to go and get something to eat, came back up, or we paused it to go and get lunch. My brother paused it right on the scene where Mother's Milk gets covered in the jizz cannon, for lack of a better word. Frame perfect. So you don't see Mother's Milk's expression. Fucking hell, that's hard to say. You just see him covered in fake jizz. And we left it on that until we came back in with whatever we were going to have for lunch.
I was really hoping you were going to say, we paused it, we came back, and as I was eating my yogurt...
I couldn't finish the glass of milk that I'd poured for myself.
You're like, oh, that's a nice jacket as well. Why did he do that?
The fact is, he's wearing that again a couple episodes later. I wouldn't wear that again. Yeah, he's wearing the exact same jacket, but I'd burn that fucking thing.
If it'll burn.
No, I mean, if that is from a soup, it'd probably catch fire in a rainbow of different colours.
There's a lot of weird stuff going on in the background. I'm a big fan of, like, Huey trying to casually, like, Huey is awkward by nature. I mean, he's the son of Simon Pegg in this universe, so naturally he's very good at being awkward. And him trying to navigate through the orgy scene without trying to make a scene is just fucking hysterical. It's a scene where he turns down that guy. He's like, no, I think I'll give my asshole a breather.
Yeah, it's the fact that he just says it so casually as well. It's like, no, my asshole's destroyed. I need to take a breather.
Give me 5, bro. I mean, in 5 minutes, absolutely. But if you don't mind.
Yeah, just give me a break.
We then get the confrontation between Huey and A-Train in the hallway. And I find it really fun. It's just, like, he's trying to hold back the fact that he's wanted to smash A-Train's face in since season 1 for murdering his girlfriend. And he could possibly do it. He's jumped up on Temp V, he has a chance, but he's also trying to complete his mission, and he cannot do, like, he can't start shit in the middle of an orgy. We also, this is where we see the Deep getting blown by the octopus.
Yeah.
And it's just an octopus on the Deep, and you're like, oh, what's it? Oh no.
Yeah.
Those things have beaks.
Yeah, those things have beaks. It's bad when you think, right, that's a horrible kind of funny joke. on how that everyone says that Aquaman fucks fish. Well, now we have an Aquaman that fucks fish.
It's that Starlight walks in on him being blown by the octopus, and is like taking a photo of him, and the Deep is there with there's like a tentacle on his face. He's just like trying to peel the tentacle off.
Aye, he keeps swatting away, going, "No, not now." Like she's not interested. Like apparently the octopus is trying to get Starlight involved.
But there's a bunch of different gags about the orgy going on, and it's being hosted by the TNT twins, who were part of Homelander's team back in the day. So that's what not Homelander's team, Soldier Boy's team back in the day. So that's what Soldier Boy's here to hunt them down and beat the fuck out of them. Only thing is, Homelander shows up, and we get the first showdown between Homelander and Soldier Boy, with Butcher and Huey helping to kind of like fight Homelander, and it's a fucking good scene.
Yeah, the fight itself is pretty good, but it's more the from my mind anyway, it's more the kind of dialogue that goes between them. It's not that disappointed that it's come to this, it's that Homelander's disappointed in Butcher for getting help.
Yeah. And he's like, he's trying to act all arrogant, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh no, you're now on a level playing field with 3 other people. You're in trouble. And this is one thing that I've always wondered about Homelander is, he is a superhero, but he mostly fights non-superhero foes.
Mm-hmm.
With the exception, I mean, we saw it in season 2 where he's fighting the nuclear, the radioactive guy in the Middle East.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't really have that situation under control. He wins, but it's kind of lucky. And
he wins because he's stupidly powerful.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I'm quite glad that they kept from the comics. One of Homelander's biggest weaknesses is that he's stupidly strong, but he has almost no training. He doesn't really know how to throw a punch because he has laser eyes.
Yeah.
And when you see him fight in this, it kind of shows that.
Yeah, because for all like Soldier Boy is, he's kind of propped up on PR. He still had to do some of the work back in the day.
Yeah.
He is still a combat veteran. He has been in Russian gulags fighting for his life for the last 30, 40 years. He has some brawling ability and is willing to beat people to death. Homelander, on the other hand, doesn't really have that. And there's that very big difference. It's the great line of, you wearing a cape? Fuck? Why would you bother with the impracticality of a cape? And it comes back to bite me.
The line is, buddy, you think you look strong, you're wearing a cape.
And again, it's just great Jensen Ackles line delivery of just kind of absolutely like knife through butter, just cutting straight to the point and just being like, fuck you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm a big fan of the scene, and I'm a big fan of the fact that Butcher gets his hits in as well, because again, Butcher is a former soldier. He is combat trained. He has fighting experience, part of the CIA. Who knows what the fuck he did back then? But, he is a killer. Soldier Boy's a killer. Homelander, is he up to that task? And it's like, not really. And he's kind of lucky to get away with his life.
Yeah, you can see at that point that Homelander is actively shitting himself.
Yeah. The final shot of him, like, in the fight, realizing, like, he has to get away, and it's like, you have a countdown of seconds to get yourself out of the situation, and it's him just straining with all his, like, might to escape the room that they're fighting in. And it is just an absolute brilliant shot, and it's like, you realize that, Soldier Boy kind of has a bit of control over his power, if he isn't, because the previous times he's been triggered into it with a kind of PTSD, but obviously he doesn't know what that means, because he's from World War II, so it's like, you mean like shell shock?
Yeah.
I did like as well, the way
he just brushes it off completely. It's like, man, I don't have shell shock, go fuck yourself.
Yeah, actually, it was interesting that Amazon, the notes again, explained what shell shock was. If you pause during that scene, I was like, oh, interesting. Yeah, we then have Soldier Boy accidentally setting off his powers again and smashing half the mansion that Heroism takes place in. In the aftermath of everyone kind of fleeing the scene, because like a lot of people are dead. I think they mentioned that it's like 20 people or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Are dead in the aftermath. Meanwhile, A-Train finds Blue Hawk outside. We also see the Deep running with the octopus in a bag. In a bag full of water, he just gets in a car and runs away. Like, come on, no. But yeah, A-Train confronts Blue Hawk in the aftermath of the orgy, or the carnage that ensues, and just flips it grabs him, and sprints at max speed down the highway, dragging Blue Hawk behind them in retaliation for Blue Hawk crippling his brother. Blue Hawk is left in a bloody smear on the fucking road.
Yeah.
And it shows you actually him being basically ground down by the road. You know, oh fucking hell.
Yeah.
And A-Train's
That scene was really, really well shot, but kind of. I suppose if you're not used to that stuff, it'd be quite hard to watch. Just watching someone getting ground down by the road, but
yeah,
it's what happens after that I find quite fucked up.
A-Train's heart gives out. And
yeah, that is pretty fucked up. But what happens after that?
What were you going with?
Well, as you said, in season 1, A-Train has been taking more Compound V, trying as a drug to kind of boost his powers, that kind of thing. You find out that that's slowly killing him. I think at the start of season 2, you find out that he can't run again, or his heart will give out. Then, obviously, in choosing to kill Blue Hawk, he uses his powers again, and that caused him to go into a heart attack. What? Because they had a fresh soup heart ready to donate, i.e. Blue Hawks. They just implant A-Train with Blue Hawk's heart, which I found kind of funny in a way, but very, very fucked up. Like, let's take the racist piece of shit that you just killed, and use his heart to bring you back to life.
And it's interesting because there's stories about people's personality changing after organ transplants, and it raising a bunch of questions. And it's like, we don't actually know if anything actually happens, or if it's just a change caused or brought about by having near-death experiences. Because if you need an organ transplant, that's kind of a near-death experience. So people talk a lot about there being changes in personalities after organ transplants, and I noticed A-Train doesn't wear his African outfit anymore, where it's the green, the red, the leopard prints, the zebra prints and stuff like that. He's back to blue. And I thought it was. I
think it's more that he realizes that he doesn't have to do any gimmicky shit to stay relevant. He can now just stay. He can go back to his blue suit and just be one of the 7 again.
Yeah, I noticed that, but I wasn't sure which angle they were going at it from. Like, I wonder if that's what they're going for. Is that A-Train just is kind of freaking out that, oh fuck, I have a racist heart in me. Like, I as a black man have a racist heart in me. What? How does that work? The episode ends with Starlight giving a live stream on Instagram in the rubble of Herogasm, telling the world that Soldier Boy and Homelander did this, and that Homelander won't win, but Bot have set all this in motion and they can't be trusted. And that is the end of Herogasm, which, as you say, in a season packed with great episodes, this is standout.
Yeah, without a doubt. I think part of it was overhyping it, saying, it's going to be the filthiest thing you've ever seen. Then it's like, okay, Herogasm itself was pretty... I wouldn't say excessive, but it was kind of out there in terms of, there was, all types of sex happening. But
if you've seen something like...
the fight and the confrontation with Homelander, Butcher, and Soldier Boy, and Huey, it kind of just catches you off guard again, because you're thinking, alright, this episode's going to be all about Herogasm. Then it's like, oh shit, there's some real good story points that happen here.
Yeah, it happens to be framed around an orgy. But at the same time, if you've seen something like Spartacus, I mean, that's no worse or better than that. The orgy scenes in Spartacus were just as kind of depraved. And actually kind of more fucked up when you think about it. Because 9 times out of 10 it involves a slave being sexually assaulted by someone they want to kill for personal reasons. And you're like, oh, fuck. But yeah, Herogasm, solid episode, somewhat overhyped by the internet.
Yeah, without it, definitely overhyped, because people expected, people used their own litmus test for what they consider horrendously fucked up. Then they just went with, by a typical boardroom standard, this is quite messed up.
Yeah, in terms of what we can put on TV, this. So episode 7 is the fallout of Herogasm, and it's basically just a lot of dialogue between different partners. We also have Frenchie. It turns out Frenchie was kidnapped along with Kimiko, and they have their escape scene, which I thought was really fucking good. It is just... It's not quite... It's old school Kimiko where she's just savage, where she's just kind of like half animal, half person, like ripping throats out.
Yeah.
But it was a nice reminder of, by the way, these people have been off in their own little corner. They've been stuck doing other stuff while all this has been going.
I remember seeing a lot of comments just saying if Kimiko dies, I'm stopping watching them. I think I'd be the same. Because
Yeah.
with a show like this where it's all these, cunts, uh, having Kimiko and Frenchie just be the kind of, like I don't want to say the heart of the show, but it's the only thing I can really
No, I know what you mean.
think
Yeah.
to call it. But yeah, having them be the heart of the show and the kind of the grounding of it, it's quite nice. They're still, one's a Wolverine allegory that rips people's faces off, and the other one's a heavily medicated Frenchman.
Disgusting.
I mean, it did sound like I really hate French people. Then a heavily medicated Frenchman. I stopped myself vomiting.
It's just those two are the closest you get to innocent in this show. Them and I would say Huey, but this season a lot of it is Huey is slipping into Butcher's kind of gravity well, and other members that have been around Butcher for longer are desperately trying to leave. People like Mother's Milk, Frenchie, and Kimiko all do not want to be around him anymore because they know what he is. They know he's fucked up. Yeah. And actually, in this episode,
but I like that as far as Huey was pulling to the right, he has kind of centered himself a wee bit by he's not on the V24 anymore, and he's Annie kind of gave him the kick in the ass that he needed, but he's more realizing that he needs to do things. He can't be as unhinged as Butcher is.
Yeah. As I say, that comes towards the end of this after we go deal with some of Butcher's stuff from his childhood. But first we learn that Maeve is actually being held in the Vought Tower and is completely unafraid of Homelander. She doesn't care if she dies anymore. And it's kind of fucking awesome. Like, knowing you're trapped, knowing you're there with the person who will kill you, and just flipping him off the entire time, like, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, is awesome. And it's a great, moment of courage that is really understated.
Yeah. But why she's being kept alive by Homelander is pretty pretty bad, even for Homelander.
Yeah.
Just if you kill yourself or just harvest your eggs, like there's no difference, because his Homelander's arc, if you want to say, through this thing is he just wants people to love him, and he wants a family because he's a megalomaniac, and who loves you more than your family? So Ryan kind of turns his back on him, so he looks to who else loved him at one point. So Maeve is like, I'll keep Maeve alive because we would have perfect children.
Yeah, and I'd say it's actually, as much as Maeve loved him at one point, or they were faking a love, she is blatantly telling him to his face, I hate your guts. I can't wait to watch you die. I never loved you. I hated every moment of it. And at that point he says, you know what? Fine, I'll use you for, eggs. And I will use our DNA to make the perfect child, and that will go on to rule the world in my stead. I will create a lineage from your corpse. And you're like, that's fucking dark.
Yeah.
On a scale. It's a mix of just abusing power dynamics, but also then just this weird thing that he's picked up from Stormfront, this weird kind of ethnic thing he's pushing where, soup supremacy, I guess. Where, he will make a lineage that lasts 1,000 years, and you're like, oh, shit. Buddy, that's getting real Nazi-ish real fast.
Yeah, it's getting to the point where Homelander is, like I said earlier, the mask is falling, and now what is being replaced with is almost kind of what's the word I'm looking for? What it's being replaced with is almost an even worse version of what everyone thinks he is.
Yeah, it is all of himself minus the humanity, and then this savage bit of himself coming back in to fill that little gap, because he realizes that the humanity, the temptation, the need to save people is there, and it's slowing him down from being the best apex predator he could be. And just him leaning into it and realizing, okay, humanity's got to go. It's like, oh no, here comes the worst parts of him that could possibly exist. But speaking of grappling with his humanity, Butcher's plot to go and meet with a former member of Payback is basically he is put into a little pocket dimension, or he's trapped in his own memories of his abusive childhood. Now, I refer to this to a few friends as kind of a breather episode, between episodes 6 and 7, or 6 and 8 being very intense, with it being the
Yeah.
season finale and all, but then I forgot that there was, a horrible aspect of, Butcher's childhood where he's abused by his drunk father and made to fight and drink and stuff like that from a very young age. So breather maybe isn't the right term, but this is as close as we can get with the boys anyway.
Yeah, it's as close as a downtime episode as you're ever going to get. Because as Colin alluded to, they tap into Butcher's childhood and it is not a happy one. A lot of what was the toxic masculinity, I guess would be the perfect phrase. A lot of be a man, like why are you crying for? You only got shot in the jaw, that kind of shit. Obviously, Butcher doesn't get shot in the jaw, but that's
Yeah.
the kind of
And the
kind of
classic
level of shit they're looking for.
Yeah, the classic British line of "You don't want to be a poof, do you?" And
Yeah,
I don't think it's going to translate well to American audiences. But the phrase "being a poof" as reference to being a gay man is super ubiquitous in the British culture, especially from
Yeah.
like our generation back. It's probably I'd like to hope it's gone by now. For the gay kids growing up and all of a sudden being told they don't be a poof, like that's probably going to leave some scars for a lot of kids growing up. But yeah, that's a phrase you heard a lot growing up.
yeah, absolutely.
And it's one of the commitments to Britishness that I actually appreciate from the boys because it's obviously an American company and American staff, but Carl Urban is like, I will drag Britishness into this fucking thing if it kills me.
Well, Garth Ennis is Irish. Yeah, I think he's Irish. And the Scott Derrickson, I think he's English. So I'll have a quick Google of that while you give them the rundown of what happens in Butcher's Nightmare.
So in Butcher's Nightmare, you basically just have him reliving scenes of abuse from his childhood and it being hinted at the fact that, Butcher was always there to protect his kid brother. And that was always going to be kind of, that was a key deciding factor for him being who he is and going to join the army to defend people because that's what he does naturally, although it caused him to leave his brother behind. This accumulates a lot of guilt in him over the years because in the end, his brother takes his own life and shoots himself with his dad's old pistol. And Butcher doesn't see that, but the wizard, I guess, is enough. He's able to piece together enough bits of Butcher's psyche to put this little scene of like a monologue from his kid brother to Billy. And the fucking emotion it brings out of Carl Urban, who has spent the entire show being an unflappable badass. Him showing that kind of breakdown of just kind of, I would give everything to get my little brother back is heartbreaking in this scene. But it is a great scene of a very dark, fucked up thing that happened.
Yeah, and the fact that he then makes such a point of saying that Huey is the spitting image of Lenny, his brother, it kind of adds more onto that. And as I was saying, Garth Ennis is Northern Irish, who's one of the authors. The other author is American, Derek Robertson.
Yeah, interesting enough, it shows on me as Garth Ennis is a Northern Irish American comics writer. So, interesting. Wikipedia disagreeing with itself there.
I mean, I've heard them do interviews and things like that, and it's very Northern Irish.
All right, so he's like an Irish expat to the US.
Yeah, he's an Irish expat. I mean, as most comic writers are, none of them live in fucking England. The only comic writer that still lives the only comic writers to my knowledge that still live in Britain are
the guys that do the 40k comics.
Yeah, the guys that do the 40k comics, Grant Morrison and his name doesn't matter. Again, sidetracked. We're here to talk with the boys.
But all that's put to rest when Soldier Boy beats the fuck out of the wizard. Huey goes to actually catch him and brings him back to Butcher to try and get him to fix what's left in Butcher's head before Butcher dies. The idea being that if you're stuck with the power, or if you're being attacked by the Mind Wizard guy, you're stuck there until you dehydrate and die in a couple of days' time. But you'll spend that next couple of days on a loop of your worst nightmares or with your worst thoughts. So that's a very interesting superpower, and I actually kind of like it in a very fucked up kind of horror. As a horror fan, I really like that idea that you're trapped with your worst nightmare until you basically piss and shit yourself to death. That's horrific in its own way. Only thing is, Soldier Boy is rampaging through the woods to get back to him, and then proceeds to beat the Mind Wizard guy to death. And I was like, that's fucking savage. He puts a bag over his head, and then smashes that head flat. Absolutely brutal death scene, and kind of sets everything up for episode 8. Episode 8 for the boys season finale. At this point, it's kind of obviously we're setting up to Homelander versus Soldier Boy, with the last scene of episode 7 being a phone call between Homelander and Soldier Boy, where Soldier Boy reveals that he is in some way Homelander's father due to genetic experiments by Vought back in the day. And there's a lot of obviously the whole season has a lot of issues with fatherhood and raising your kids, and what it actually means to be a father, between mother's milk and then Billy's trauma, and then you've got a lot of stuff with Stan Edgar being an adoptive father but being a monster at the same time, but a different kind of monster. There's a whole lot of issues. Like, the theme of fatherhood has been running through the entire season, and it's all setting up for how does Homelander, someone who desperately needs a family and a father figure, deal with the fact that his adoptive or his genetic father, who was no father figure to him at all, is coming to murder him with the help of the man whose child he stole.
Yeah.
Like, that's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah, I mean, especially on a man whose mental state has been crumbling as the series has progressed. And I think for Homelander anyway, he's I think he's seen some kind of retribution coming. But what makes it worse is what you just said, finding out that he is with his, biological father, and now about to rain absolute hell on him.
Yeah. When you know that like, your father's coming to kill you, you fucked up in some way. Okay? Like, this is an honor killing in a certain sense. And yeah, there's a whole lot of build up between obviously different factions as they kind of mobilize and go to war. We have probably one of the dumbest scenes in the whole thing is that they work out that over the time there's no way to really knock out superheroes because their fast metabolism lets them break down stuff that would knock out humans. This leads to them discovering that you could use Novichok gas, which is a nerve agent used by Russian special forces in assassination attempts. Novichok gas actually shuts down nerves and leaves you, I think it shuts down nerves and leaves you basically choking to death trying to breathe, because your body can't move its diaphragm. In like normal, like in real life, that's what happens. It shuts down your nervous system, you can't move the diaphragm, can't breathe, and you suffocate to death while being able to, feel everything. This, however, is just a knockout gas for superheroes in this universe. And they actually find Novichok gas. They put it in. I love this joke that they have, like, all the superhero fragrances are like just cheap plastic shit. And like, you put nerve agent in a plastic glass bottle that sells Starlight's shitty perfume. It's like,
put it in a $10 bottle of Starlight's perfume.
They reply with, it improves the smell. Like, such a fucking great dig. It's celebrity perfume. Just so unnecessary, so well appreciated. We then also have the thing that got me though is this like, the boys kind of get back together, kind of. There's a whole like argument about what's going to happen, and it turns out that basically everyone who isn't actually high on V at the time is going to get chucked in a cellar and told to sit down and shut the fuck up. And Butcher, Queen Maeve, and Soldier Boy are going to go off to fight Homelander and kill him. Not knock him out, kill him. The remaining gangs, Mother's Milk, Frenchie, and Starlight, have got the Novichok gas to knock out Soldier Boy so he can't be useful in the fight. Queen Maeve throws a bottle of Novichok gas out the window into New York City.
Yeah.
And that could kill thousands.
Yeah, it probably has.
And it's not, obviously, the episode is at such a pace that that'll never be discovered. But like, Queen Maeve will never be held accountable for the fact she probably killed a few thousand people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, can we address that, please, in next season? Just one little note there of kind of like, hey, wait a minute. Especially given how the episode's going to turn out with, Queen Maeve dying and all. Or air quotes dying.
Well, dying, yeah.
Yeah. So the boys are the main superhero team of Butcher, Soldier Boy, and Queen Maeve go to confront Homelander in Vought Tower, where Homelander presents Soldier Boy with his grandson, aka Ryan, who has become a pawn in Homelander's game, or he's always really been a pawn, but Homelander's back in control of him now.
Yeah. Who is quickly becoming the Scrappy-Doo of the boys, because he's the kid sidekick that shows up. No one really wanted him. He was there as a plot device. Now he's a little shit.
That is the worst and best metaphor at the same time. Like, fuck you.
Yeah.
It's so bad. I love it. The other gang break out of the cell, or break out of their containment of a safe that was in the building that Butcher was using for the headquarters. They're in the Flatiron, right?
They're in the Flatiron building. Like, the building that was used for the Daily Bugle in Spider-Man.
Yeah. They then race off to Vought headquarters because there was a chance they could also remake the Novichok gas with Frenchie being high as fuck and in the Vought laboratories. That's the plan, and everyone goes, "This is the dumbest plan ever." I guess here we go.
Yeah, we don't have another one.
So they all race off to have this big fight at the tower, at which point they realise it's kicked off between Butcher and Homelander, and it is just a very good fight between all of them. For all the like superhero fights we've seen over the years with like big action pieces and stuff, just 3 or 4 people just decking the shit out of each other in a room is the boys thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I went to see Thor: Love and Thunder last night, and just comparing it to the final fight in The Boys, because a few of the people, in fact, all the people that I went to see Thor: Love and Thunder with, they've all seen it. And I was just thinking about it on the way home. I was just sitting thinking, there was this big epic battle at the end of Thor: Love and Thunder when it was all these fancy powers and all this, high coloured bullshit. Then contrast that with The Boys,
and people flying with capes on and hammers being thrown around and droning shots and stuff and
colour and brightness and all this, high saturation. Then you've got The Boys, and it is literally just 5 and 6, between 5 and 6 people just beating the ever-loving crap at each other,
shoving fingers in eye sockets, punching each other through walls, like smash each other's heads into safety cabinets, busting
eardrums with metal straws and shit.
Just savage street fighting type of stuff that you expect from The Boys, and it's fantastic because it's everything. It keeps building and building and building, and then just brings it down. Did this with season 2 again as well. When it came down to what decided the fight of for season 2 was the girls get it done attitude taking the piss out of Avengers Endgame. And it was just the 3 women in superhero costumes kicking the shit out of a 4th woman because she's a Nazi.
Curb stomping a woman, the Nazi.
Yeah. And it's that kind of constant build, and then just not quite a de-escalation, but the aftermath of what happens is much more savage than you think it should be. And they say, I was like, there's a finger goes in Queen Maeve's eye from Homelander, and it's like, oh, fucking hell. Queen Maeve, I think, gets her own back by stabbing Homelander in the ear. With a metal straw.
I thought that was fucking badass.
And then the whole thing of like Huey's arc this season has been learning to like trust others rather than try to save everyone himself. He ramps up the power applied to the lighting in the studio that they're fighting in, which I thought was funny, was just them smashing the shit out of a news studio because it's from Vought, it's not really the news. Them just smashing corporate news and all. And then like him just superpowering all the lights to supercharge Starlight so she can smack. She's going for Soldier Boy in that one, yeah.
Yeah, everyone's fighting Soldier Boy at this point.
Yeah. It's a weird turn on itself, but like once you see how much damage Soldier Boy is taking, it makes a lot of sense. Like Homelander isn't that much of a threat anymore. Homelander's kind of just off to the side. He's a problem. He has to be dealt with. But right now we deal with
Soldier Boy, because there's a massive realization that they know how to deal with Homelander now, or like you said, Homelander's not that big a threat because he is kind of a pussy. He is kind of a little bitch.
Yeah.
Whereas you've got Soldier Boy who has tactics, has training, knows how to fight, and he wants to now take over Vought. Like, we need to deal with this guy.
Yeah, and you've got the fact that Homelander is now holding Ryan much closer as a hostage. So Butcher would love nothing more than to go all out and end this right now. But he can't because Ryan will get in the way to save his dad, which he does. Ryan actually takes a shot at Soldier Boy and smashes the shit out of him with laser eyes. Was it interesting? But that's one thing I noticed as well, is that all these fights, the people who trying to use laser eyes on Soldier Boy keep getting blocked by that shield. Ryan is the one who lands a blow. Because he was not expected as a threat. So Soldier Boy didn't really have everything ready to go for him. But yeah, there's a massive fight, and then Soldier Boy decides, fuck this, I'm going nuclear. And in a last-ditch effort to save everyone, Queen Maeve throws herself out the building, carrying a nuclear supercharging Soldier Boy out the window with her. And it's her heroic sacrifice.
What I love the most about Maeve's heroic sacrifice is because there's no, oh man, everyone's going to die, I need to do this to save everybody. It's just
she's annoyed.
Fuck.
It's like, ruined
my fucking day.
Guess I'm jumping on this grenade. Oh, fuck.
because she knows Homelander's not going to do it. That vain bastard's not going to do it. Starlight's not strong enough. Fuck, it's going to have to be me. She just runs and tackles him.
Yeah, and it's badass. It's really,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. It's her throwing herself at the window with Soldier Boy discharging the nuke halfway down the tower and shredding it to pieces. I am
Yeah,
wondering
and the fact that she survives as well. This is yet another fairly badass moment for her.
Well, there's a scene of there's a whole moment of the Vought PR machine says that Queen Maeve died heroically, saving New York City from a rogue terrorist, and the rogue terrorist Soldier Boy has been defeated thanks to the sacrifice of our proudest gay member of the Seven. They keep ramming that thing that she's gay down your throat, and you're like, fuck's sake. It's true to life though. It's if there was a gay superhero and sacrificed herself, she would be the gay superhero who sacrificed herself, rather than her name.
She'd have a statue.
Yeah, and it'd be like painted rainbow colors.
Yeah,
all year
the
round.
cape. They'd have a cape, and it would be rainbow.
Yeah, and it's all kind of like hammed up in the media as like the death of a true patriot, and all these questions and inquiries to be launched at a later date because right now everybody's just kind of in mourning. And then it just shows Queen Maeve like patching up her fucked up eye in the bathroom, and she actually did survive. She's battered as hell, but she's still there. And in a great kind of scene, you get this kind of handover between the generations of Vault women, where Starlight is there to like, hey, are you okay? Can I help you with anything? She's like, when I first met you, you were kind of a piece of shit, and I don't really like you, and fuck yourself. But you know what? You're okay, kid.
It's what she says to Huey that I find funny. It's like, you just have Raw Dog written all over you. Like,
please Raw Dog me. You're like, oh my god.
Such a little bitch.
It is such a great put down.
Yeah.
And you just kind of take it in the face and be like, yep, I guess that's the vibe I put out. Fuck. It's a great way to end the season, and it raises a lot of questions as to what happens now as Queen Maeve exits with her girlfriend to go live on a farm somewhere. And it's not a euphemism, she's just not going to be around anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure how I feel about that.
Yeah, I liked having Maeve in the series, not because I think she's fucking hot, but she's a really good character. And she is that kind of reluctant superhero. It's just kind of fine, I guess I'll go and save these ungrateful assholes.
Yeah, I mean, when was the last time you could describe a good female character as being a bitter middle-aged woman?
Yeah,
like
alcoholic.
That character's written
middle-aged woman.
Yeah, that character's normally written as just a complete fucking nightmare. With Queen Maeve, it's like, okay, this is just something people go through in middle age, and it's like, interesting. It was a nice little twist. But with that,
as to where they go next,
fucking,
I have no idea.
Well, actually, let's put a few things in perspective. Homelander now has possession of Ryan. Ryan was kind of hidden away on farms elsewhere until then. The Colonel is now in possession of a knocked out Soldier Boy. Queen Maeve obviously is away off to live out the last of her days as a civilian outside of the nightmare that is the boys. I wouldn't be surprised if she came back for season 4.
I think they might pull her out. They might pull her out of retirement.
Yeah,
right. We need you to take V again because shit's about to go down.
Kimiko is back on V, as you mentioned, because she's now returning to being a superhero. She needs to be able to fight Vought. She says she wants to do it as. I did find it weird that when Huey says he wants to take Compound V to save his family or to save people he loves, it's like it seems being quite toxic masculinity. But then Kimiko's doing kind of a similar thing, and I saw there was some explanation on Twitter as to why it was different. But I'm like, I don't know. If you take it on principle, like, Huey is reacting a bit to kind of being a bit of a referred to as a little bitch throughout most of the show, but at the same time, he does have the honest intention of saving people. It's not like he's doing it to be, have a bigger dick or something. I did find that a bit odd, but Huey's going to stop taking Compound V. Kimiko has gone back on Compound V with one of the worst injection scenes ever. That just fucking hurt. I think it's in episode 7. They give her another injection.
And she starts healing, because remember there's a scene earlier where Victoria Newman, when she's when she kind of gets ousted, or Stan Edgar says that there might be a target on my back, she gives her daughter Compound V,
Yeah,
and that
because
was another one of those like, that
Yeah.
does not look painful.
they think Homelander is coming for.
That looks very painful.
Yeah. They think
Yeah.
Homelander will come for the Newman family, so
Yeah.
she gives her daughter a fighting chance with Compound V. And actually, with episode 7, I noticed I felt there was a Nike sponsorship in that episode, and it was because Huey gets knocked out by somebody, or he falls down, and his Nike shoes are very visible.
Yeah.
And then in the same episode, as Kimiko's being injected, as she's twisting and like turning, like she's writhing in agony, being injected with Compound V, the Nike symbol is very prominent. And I'm like, did they pay for this? Imagine paying for what is essentially to be a product placement in an overdose scene.
Yeah.
Very fucking weird, but I guess Nike got the money's worth. I mean, you noticed it, you know. Kimiko's back on Compound V. Butcher dabbling with Compound V more than anyone else, the V24. It's revealed to be causing massive issues with brain hemorrhaging. And he has a sit down with the doctor who explains you've got 12 to 18 months left. Which is, again, another reason I think this is like season 4 is it. Because Butcher will be dead by the end of it.
Yeah, most likely, because you don't just shrug off a brain hemorrhaging and shit like that.
Yeah, I think the Starlight finds the notes from a doctor who's like, it's eating holes in their brain the size of golf balls. And you're like, oh, shit. What else is there? Mother's Milk is reconnected with his daughter, and it seems like Todd is no longer in the picture because Todd is away attending Homelander rallies and cheering for the death of people who disagree with Homelander.
Yeah. And if that guy gets superpowers, I genuinely look forward to the scene in season 4 where Mother's Milk beats the living shit out of him.
Yeah. Who else do we have? I think that's pretty much it. I think Starlight and Huey are kind of back as one. Starlight is now part of the boys. She's given up the role of Starlight and now just be Annie. She's been invited to join the group. Oh, and it's really awkward between everyone else and Butcher because Butcher did technically plan to betray everyone.
Yeah.
So,
it is weird.
Yeah.
Very, very weird. But
so I guess that is it for season 8 of The Boys. I mean, I say like there's a lot of stuff going on here that you can sit and unpack. I really started to pick up on the theme of fatherhood in this season. And I gotta say, it's really, really impressive that they went for all that. They went for like kind of a bigger theme of like not just good and evil and the political stuff that they've been using all throughout the show, but to pick on something as intimate as fatherhood for an entire season is interesting.
Yeah, and it's especially when it's not really, I've not read them, but from what I've seen of the comics, I've not really picked up on that. So them taking a different spin to it, it's pretty good having someone along the lines of Homelander who's had to deal with all this kind of success and being, the world's greatest superhero without anybody to talk to and all that kind of shit, and having basically these lab babies growing up be the best, but still having human problems.
So I guess we already said we recommend the show, but we're going to wait with bated breath for season 4. I think
is going to be in about 2 years' time, I think.
Yeah, this rate of production, wouldn't be surprised. I'm not going to read the comic books. I don't know about you.
No, because I think I might read them after the series finishes because they're taking divergent paths.
Yeah,
and I don't think one would necessarily tell me a lot about the other. I think if I started reading the comics, I'm not going to immediately know what's going to happen in the series because they're taking very different routes to get to the end.
Do you know we actually skipped an entire plot line?
Did we?
Yeah. Black Noir. Black Noir has been hallucinating cartoon characters his entire life. They talk to him, it's why he can sit in silence because he has conversations with his weird woodland friends. Also, Homelander
because of a horrendous brain injury that he suffered.
Yeah. Also, Homelander fucking murders Black Noir. We skipped over that entirely.
Yeah.
Shit. Yeah, so episode 8, that happens, and it's fucking heartbreaking. Although you saw it coming a mile away. You saw it happening.
Yeah.
Just the way that Homelander stands talking to Black Noir, you're like, nope, I know where this is going.
Okay, this guy's getting punched in the gut.
We also missed the Homelander dressing down the surviving members of the Seven and Ashley, and basically calling them pieces of shit after killing Black Noir. Again, one of the funnier scenes in the show, but we skipped over it to get the plot points of who's fighting who. And the character work in this is outstanding. Like, Emmys all round for any actor involved. The writing has been really good as well. There are
Yeah.
plot points of like throwing Novichok gas out the window. I'm like, please address that.
Yeah.
That's a war crime.
They'll deal with that hopefully next season. You'd hope that they deal with it.
But yeah, I would highly recommend The Boys. Just if you got this far and haven't started watching it, I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
My brothers are starting to watch it as well, and I'm like, I've been telling you it's great for years. So I get watching them experience it on my account, and I can't wait for them to run through season 8 and be like, or season 3 and be like, oh my god, what the hell was that?
Yeah. See, what I've found is the people that I've told to start watching The Boys, and they're coming back to me going, I need more. 3 seasons isn't enough. I need season 4 right now.
Well, I think that runs it all out.
Yep.
So until the next time we get a chance to sit down and record, I've been Colin Grimm.
I've been Tom Anderson.
We've been talking Gibberpish. Remember,
With great power comes the absolute certainty that you'll be a right cunt.